Hi, we're live. All right. Hello from the US, and we have here with us Christian Dautel, all the way from Germany, from Weingut Dautel. And we are basically continuing our epic journey through the gorgeous winelands of Germany and Austria, right? Been Socialist exploring this rich area of history and obviously incredible world-class wines. And we are just so thrilled that we are finally reaching the point of the journey where we get to meet you, Christian. So thank you for joining us. How are you doing today?
I'm tops. I'm awesome. Thanks for asking. I hope you find it well. Yeah, I'm very good. All good. I'm glad to be here tonight.
Thank you for joining us. And for those of you who don't know me, my name is Sara Moll. I'm the founder and CEO of VinSocial. And at VinSocial, we're really about traveling through the glass to discover all the amazing cultures and the amazing people behind the bottles. And specifically, those who are, independent craftspeople working sustainably, making incredible quality-driven wines, of which Dautel certainly hits the mark, and we are today tasting your Spätburgunder, or Pinot Noir, as we say it over here in the US, and we'll be tasting the 2018 vintage. But first, we want to know a little bit about you. First of all, huge congratulations and shout out to you as a new father.
Yes, thank you so much.
A baby boy, only 4 weeks old, huge new life adventure. So I wish you well as a parent. You got this.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. It's an amazing experience. It's so great. I'm so thankful.
Absolutely. I'm very happy for you. All right. So why don't you take us? I like to always just set the stage and just remind everybody where in the world we are, right? So we are in Germany, and specifically in the Württemberg region. And it's here, if you guys can see, kind of in the middle, that purple segment. So tell us about your beautiful, little piece of the world and what makes it so special for growing wine and not really widely known, I would say, to most US customers.
Yeah, sure. So as you can see, Württemberg is right in the middle, if you look at the map. So so actually it's quite a big wine region in Germany. I'm not exactly sure, but I think the third biggest or fourth biggest. And the main reason why you probably many wine drinkers all over the world don't know Württemberg is because historically all the wine was always drunk in Württemberg. So the Württemberg area, they do have the highest wine consumption per person. So even in former days, in this area, they really drank a lot, and that's why there was just no need to export or something like this. So seriously, all the wine that was produced was also drunk here. In nowadays, we will want to welcome the world to our wines as well. So things are changing at the moment. So I've got a couple of friends which are also doing amazing wines, and they all are worldwide. You can get them, but historically, this is definitely the reason. If you go to the Württemberg itself, it's actually the red wine region in Germany. So there's no other region that has that much red wines than we do. So mostly there's a special variety, two special varieties like Trollinger and Lemberger. Lemberger you maybe know as, I think you interviewed Priele. Mm-hmm. He's a cool guy as well. And they do Blaufränkisch. Mm-hmm. And that's the same variety in Germany. It's called Lemberger, but actually it's only planted in Württemberg. So it's actually a quite special variety for us. But of course, there are the Burgundy grapes, which has, to be fair, the longest tradition if we're talking about red wine in Württemberg. So Pinot Noir, Pinot Meunier, all these different varieties of Pinot Noir. It plays an important role. And then, of course, there's also white varieties like the white Burgundy grapes like Pinot Blanc, like Chardonnay. And, for the whites, about 20% of the production of the vineyards is Riesling as well. well, we are in Germany, so of course we do have.
Exactly.
We love Riesling.
We love Riesling, yes. But this is really cool and important to point out, right? Because I think most folks, when they think about Germany, they immediately think white wine. But in fact, Germany makes a lot of exceptional red wine. And I love that this really is sort of the epicenter of great red wine making in the country. So it's fitting. That's why, obviously, we decided to go with the Pinot Noir from the Württemberg. So let's go back in history. This is a really, really, really rich, like ancient, in fact, area for grape growing. This is, this region's been growing grapes, as far as we know, like 500 or more years, right? And some of these terraces we were just talking before we went live that were created by the Romans. But this is actually your direct history, right? These are previous generations of the Dautel family on the property, correct?
Definitely. So this is just a small picture of the big picture, and if you would increase it, you can see Bönnigheim just behind. And this is also a vineyard we still have in our winery. So it's actually it's part of the Bönnigheim Sonnenberg. And so it's made in the 1920, something around this. I really like it because, there's that really popular picture of the people sitting in New York building skyscraper.
Yes, I know it. Mm-hmm.
So sometimes it reminds me a little bit about it because they're all sitting in one line there.
And having their lunch.
Not that high altitude, but of course, I'm the 14th generation. So we have more than 500 years. We have vineyards in our family, so quite a long time. As you mentioned before, the 15th generation of viticulture is just born 4 weeks ago. So we are very happy about that. But
Number 15. That's amazing. That is amazing. I mean, I can't think of any other really family business that goes on for that many generations. It's really extraordinary. So here we are at the winery where all the magic happens, right?
Definitely. So actually, to be fair, so in Württemberg, the area, the farmer, it was always like in former days, it was also a little bit mixed with normal agriculture and having animals, kind of a mixed up, but all viticulture being a part of it. And because of the Napoleon system, it was always, if somebody is dead, all the property was divided to all the children you have. So the amount of land always got smaller and smaller and smaller. Yeah. And that's why historically in our region, they started to building cooperatives. So like to work together and getting a little bit more bigger volume. And so that was actually my grandfather. He was a founding member for cooperative. And when my father then came back from his studies, the first thing he was doing is getting out of the cooperative. You can imagine my grandfather was very happy about that. Son is coming home.
I'm sure that caused some conflict.
Yes, definitely. But so the main idea of him was always to make high quality wines. And that's why I think my whole entire life, childhood, let's put it that way, I've spent all the time during holiday in Italy or in France, like going from one chateau to the other one. So you can imagine that being a child, this is not the thing you would like to have. And nowadays, I really would like to go there again.
I know, right?
But of course, there was a huge influence, and there was also all the ideas and the impressions my father took back to home, and then did many things different. And I think this is why he's kind of a pioneer in the German wine industry, and that's why for me nowadays it's great to take over such a beautiful history and just a beautiful winery.
Amazing. We love the renegades over here. So sounds like you would be fast friends with your father. And I'm with you. Like, it's amazing. He was literally doing the best type of R&D, research and development, right? Like, which is going around the world of wine and like exploring and learning. And I'm sure that, really like did have an incredible impact on you as a child, and unfortunately probably didn't appreciate it at the time, right? All right, so these are some of the vineyards. This is like one of the most startlingly beautiful photos of a vineyard I've ever seen, because it really shows you just how extraordinarily steep they are. And when you think about the fact that the Romans were building these, terraced, rocky walls with literally their hands. It's like, how the heck did they do that? But it's amazing that they remain intact today.
Yeah, to be fair, time after time they collapse and you have to rebuild them.
Mm-hmm.
And then again, you're building them like the Romans, only with your hands. So there's nothing else. There's no machine or something you can work in these terraces. So everything there is done by hand. And so it's definitely a very, very, it's actually the whole Neckar Valley and Enns Valley in Württemberg where you have these terraces.
Mm-hmm.
And again, it's 100% work by hand and super steep, and it's when you finish work there, you really have worked something and you're really satisfied lying in the bed at home and you sleep very good.
I bet you sleep really good after a day. It's like not for the faint of heart to be working those steep vineyards every day. So speaking of the vineyards, it's a very rocky soil composition, as it seems. Is it like that across all of your vineyards, or is this just one specific plot?
Well, it depends. It depends. I mean, the thing is that we, being in Württemberg, we have something. It's called Gipskörperformation. So we have different soils depending on the layer. So you can imagine like a chocolate cake with different layers.
Mm-hmm.
If you at the very bottom at the Neckar Valley, you have shell limestone, and then there's one a line with colored marl, then there's one line with reed sandstone and gypsum soil, and all these 4 different soils. This is where we have our vineyards on. So it's practically with the car, it takes you about 10 minutes to go from the very bottom up to 400 meters altitude.
Wow.
Crossing all these different soils. And so in this case, generally all the soils, they're very calcareous. So it's we have what pH of 7.5 up to 8, which is quite high. It's quite similar to the Burgundy, where you also have very calcareous soil. That's why also I think the Pinot and the Rieslings does have their specific taste and their specific identity. And but of course, if you compare the different soils, there are different. Like for example, the reed sandstone, it's always a little bit more sandy soil, a little bit lighter soil, which gives the Riesling a really nice length. If you're going to the shell limestone, to the terrace vineyard you had before, of course, it's not only the soil we're talking about. You also have a lower altitude, super steep vineyard. And so there are many different aspects which we have to count. So of course, for example, you could never directly compare a shell limestone with a colored marl, because the colored marl is always at 400 meters altitude, and the shell limestone is always in the Neckar Valley. So you have, of course, 2 different soils, but you also have completely different surrounding. So
Wow. Well, the wine has a very distinct minerality to it, like a kind of almost an irony smell, but very, very mineral driven, sort of nervy quality to it. It's very much, I would say, more like a Burgundian style Pinot Noir, almost the complete opposite of what I would call like a New World Pinot Noir, which is why I love it so much.
Well, I mean, to be fair, I mean, I was traveling all over the world, working in South Africa, also in the US and Oregon, which I loved so much. So if anybody's from Oregon there, I love Willamette Valley. It was so great to be there. So hello to Chris Burke, my ex-chef. And but then also I was working at Comte Lafon in Merceau for more than half a year in 2009. And of course, doing all the internships, also South Africa, Australia, Austria. Definitely Burgundy really influenced me the most. And if we're now talking about Pinot Noir, I always say that there are red wine drinkers and there are Pinot Noir drinkers. So there's red wine and there's Pinot Noir. And for me, this is something completely different, okay? If I'm talking about red wine, I would talk about Lemberger, Blaufränkisch, because this is what we do. But if I'm talking about Pinot, I talk about the elegance, the fruit, the fragrance, you know, the acidity which is there, which is the kind of always motivating you to continue tasting the wines. And so I always focus on elegance and balanced wines if you're talking about Pinot Noir. If you're looking for a full-bodied, rich red wine, it's not Pinot Noir.
Well, so, exactly, 100%. And I think that's why I was so excited to introduce, our club members to this wine, because it is really distinctly different. it's a different side of Pinot Noir. And I think, you know, once you get the bug, once you get hooked on Pinot Noir, right, there's no turning back, because it is just extraordinary. There's so many complex layers to it. It delivers so much in sort of what feels like this light-footed wine, but it's really, you know, got intense layers of flavor and aromas. And we're about out of time, which is sad, because I would love to spend all day talking with you, Christian. But
you're invited. You come here and we can spend all. I will make a 1 week holiday. You will meet Carl, the next generation, and I can continue to taste many Pinot Noirs.
Oh, we would love to. I will take you up on that. I would love to see baby Carl, but I'd also love to taste more of your amazing wines. And for anybody watching too, we'd love to invite you to explore this wine if you haven't. So please do use the code you see on screen to get 10% off the entire, you know, German wine box experience, or just this specific wine. It's exceptional. And now you've met the man who made it, and you need to do it for his son, right? He's got to, you know, pass this legacy down to the next. Christian, it was a pleasure. Thank you for taking the time. Thank you for putting this amazing juice in our glass. And it was just an honor to take a little journey to the Württemberg with you today.
Thank you so much for your time. It was a great pleasure for me being here. Thanks again.
You. Cheers, everybody. Enjoy.
Cheers. Zum Wohl.